everyone. I'm Leah.
And I'm Danielle.
We are with Resilient Stories. And today I'm very excited to introduce our special guest, Mrs. Tricia Hatfield. Tricia is the wonderful person behind the story. You might be underqualified, but you can absolutely get the job. And her story is really inspirational and really uplifting for anybody who has had a challenge out there in the job market and trying to find work that is fulfilling.
So that's everybody.
I feel like that's everybody at some point or another, right? So let's dive right in. Trish,
yes.
Looking back on your career journey, what was the most significant turning point for you that made you realize your true potential for this role despite initially feeling underqualified?
I think it was after a year of me being in the job, because the job that I got hired for was one that I wasn't qualified for. And so I had to overcome some pretty substantial imposter syndrome. And so really with the job, I didn't feel like I knew much of anything and was looking for a lot of reassurance and feedback in my in my first year. But I had this moment where we had a change in leadership, and we ended up realizing that the university wanted to go a different route, or where my place of employment wanted to go a different route with the unit that I was overseeing at the time. And so they wanted to basically make it bigger and reorganize the structure of some of the units under a new vice provost sector. And after 10 months of me being employed there, they approached me and they're like, we want you to be the director of finance and personnel for this new vice provost sector. And so instead of overseeing one unit, now I oversee 4, and I'll be the first vice provost employee other than the vice provost. And I was like, oh, okay. I mean, I guess you like what I'm doing and you're satisfied with my work because you're promoting me now. So that's cool. And that was that moment of wow, okay, I am actually doing really good, because there's no way that they would promote me to this higher caliber of responsibility if they were unsatisfied or if they wanted me to work on things.
Yeah, right.
So that was the moment. And honestly, that moment really just kind of was the launching point for my career, where I was like, I got this. I'm owning it. And I did. And I rocked it. And I helped my unit transition from one building to a completely different building on campus, which, let me tell you, moving 25 employees from one building to another, not an easy task to coordinate. But I just took it on myself and I was like, we're going to make this work. We're going to figure it out. And I supported my units and my new leader and supervisor through that whole transition. And that was kind of the moment of all right, Trisha's doing this. She's running the show.
Yeah. That's awesome. And rocking it, obviously.
And rocking it.
Yeah. That's incredible.
Yeah,
that's amazing. What an insane confidence boost and bit of reassurance for you that they were willing to come to you after just 10 months and do that. That's incredible. Good for you.
Yeah, thank you. It's definitely something that you need when you're the first year of a big job. Just kind of feels like you're just faking it till you make it, and you're just scrambling to validate why you're there and prove to everybody that they made the right choice. And that just started to kind of melt away when I'm like, if they're supporting me and backing me and just we agree with you, we like where you're going with this, we love your thought process, you can totally take this and run it and we got your back. It really made me a lot more confidence in my decision-making skills and my authority to move forward with those decisions in tough situations.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome. So you've mentioned dealing with self-doubt and anxiety during the initial process. Can you share some specific strategies or practices that helped you manage those feelings while you were pursuing and then thriving in your role?
Yeah. So I love counseling. firm believer that counseling is wonderful. Therapy is great. We need to normalize it. It's a wonderful support mechanism that allows a professional who deals with this every single day to support you and just you through everything that is about you, regardless of what it is. So first and foremost, therapy, wonderful. Secondly, I'm a communication studies major. And so communication is a very important value of mine. And it's something that I'm like, okay, if I don't have confidence in these other things, or if I don't have a lot of experience in these other things, I can communicate and I can build relationships. I'm good at that. So I'll focus on that. And I've learned a lot over the past couple of years that the types of relationships that you build and how you nurture those relationships really, really make a difference in your experience at work, at home, you name it. And so building support systems and relationships on campus where like I built a Teams chat with other colleagues of mine at the university so that like I could use them as resources and bounce ideas off of them. And it was like hugely successful. And people were like, why didn't we do this before? And it was a great way to share information, but to also realize like you're not alone. And a lot of us go through this too. And we learn something new every day. So it was a great communication tool. Really taking the time to connect with people in other departments where I found that there was inefficiencies in processes, and just brainstorming with people and being like, hey, I think that there might be a better way of doing this. Here's my thoughts. What do you guys think? And then I would own it and I would take ownership over it. And I would say, hey, I'll go ahead and I'll create a template. I'll create an MOU. I'll send out email communication. Like I will do the work if you guys are okay with that. And if you guys think that this is a good idea. And so my whole first year was really, really building those relationships. And that hands down made the biggest difference on campus. My support system on campus is outstanding. And I have multiple groups of people that are like-minded, that help me out when I need it, and I help them out when they need it. We're collaborators, and that was very necessary to be able to deal with the stresses of the job.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Awesome. Okay, so final question. How do you believe your experience and perspective on qualifications have influenced the culture and the hiring practices within your department, or just at the University of Montana, Missoula in general?
That's a really great question. So we've kind of gone through like these different ebbs and flows of hiring where it's kind of like feast or famine. And sometimes you get really great applicant pools. And so you can be a little bit pickier about like who exactly you're looking for, and you're looking for the right person and right qualifications. But then we've also been in a lot of like famine situations where we don't have big hiring pools at all and like only a couple applicants. And you have to really debate, like, is it worth it to choose somebody and move forward, or cancel the search and try to hire at a later date? And so actually after we did my article, I ended up sharing it a lot at work with my colleagues and my bosses, and talking about how, what this experience meant for me. And it was actually very well received. And there has been a lot more talk and collaboration about like, it's not just about a degree, or it's not just about years of experience, or like these very specific qualifications, but it's more about like capability, experience where you can show evidence of like how things work and whatnot. And honestly, I've been seeing some pretty big improvements in the hiring and recruitment departments at the university. And I think that they're not vetting out applicants based on like keywords or certain qualifications, or it's either this or this, not this and or this. Yeah, big difference. Like we're getting stronger hiring pools. We're getting more people to apply, which just gives you a better selection, and it lets you make a more educated and evidence-based decision. And that's really what you want when you're trying to hire a new employee.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so cool. That's so cool. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here, Trish, and for sharing some more information with us about your really cool and inspiring story. If you guys haven't read Tricia's story, you might be underqualified, but you can absolutely get the job. You definitely should. It's a good one. It'll put a spring in your step and a belief in your heart that you can get the job you really want. So the link for that story will be in the show notes below. And we can't wait to see what else you're able to do, Trish, because you just are unstoppable. So
thank you. Well, being able to have the courage to do this has led me on a trajectory of like, what can't I do? And I will never, once you've done it and ripped off the Band-Aid, I think you never feel the need to hold yourself back from an opportunity again. The worst that they can do is say no. Yeah. So just put yourself out there and try. It never hurts. And you never know, you might just catch something or grab something that makes your whole life change in a world of difference.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I love that. Okay. Thanks again, Trish, for being here. And we'll talk to you later. Next time.
Yeah, great chatting with you, ladies. Thanks again for the opportunity. Take care.
Of course. Bye.